Okay, good morning, everybody. Today is July 4th. Happy Independence Day, America. I wanted to make a video about the new Kraus setup that I went ahead and installed a couple days ago. There's not many videos on YouTube really going over the detail of the installation of this. There are some forums with pictures, but I figured a video is always nice. So to give a little bit of background on what my previous setup was before I did this installation, I had the 10-inch bunking risers, which are a really nice option if you don't feel like relocating your gauges and just want to leave your factory nacelle. Now with the bunking risers, they bolt directly to your factory top clamp, and then they route around, so no drilling necessary. I'm running still the 2.5-inch rise thrash and low bend bars, really nice bars. But once I had purchased the 30 mil Oleans cartridges through Kevin at Big Bear, I wasn't able to access my rebound compression. Always remember, right side rebound, left side compression. Yeah, so I wasn't able to access those adjustments, so I needed a new setup. You see all over Instagram, YouTube, people running the Kraus setup, really good reviews, so decided to go ahead and give these guys a try. I purchased everything through Get Lowered Cycles. They had my shipment fulfilled through Kraus's facility in Utah. So, you know, parts were here in 2 days. I live in Arizona, so yeah, really quick shipping. Before, you know, really get into the meat and bones, what you want to do is remove your factory nacelle, make sure all your wire connections are disconnected. Take off your brake and hydraulic reservoir mounts. What I do is I put them in Crown Royal bags and just hang them onto the lights right here. Now if you are replacing your top tree, which I do recommend because the factory one is just cast aluminum, if you have the means to do it, go to this solid billet aluminum. It's a lot more sturdy. So with your factory top tree, there's some pinch bolts up here around the neck stem, and obviously some pinch bolts around your fork. Make sure your bike's secured, loosen all this up, and you can literally move the entire assembly in one go. You don't have to worry about getting underneath, loosening up your bolts for your risers. You can just pull the whole assembly off. So once you have that done, you can go ahead and drop the new assembly on. Now before I put the new top tree on, I went ahead and mounted the risers to the top tree. These are solid mount bushings that Kraus supplies with the risers. And they actually move the poly bushings up here, which is great because it reduces any vibration in your handlebars and any flexure. So with these solid, no flexure at your top tree mount position. And also just a little FYI guys, if you do have a lot of vibration in your handlebars even after moving to solid mount bushings, it's probably because you have excessive sprocket shaft run out, so you might want to get that diagnosed. But anyway, yep, so mounted these up, dropped everything on. Obviously you want to leave your fork tubes installed because that's going to help with the alignment, making sure this is centered straight. Tighten up your pinch bolts. I believe Kraus calls for 20 foot-pounds of torque on these, and then your factory manual calls for 14 to 18 foot-pounds on your fork pinch screws. So what I normally do is I go middle of the road with 16 foot-pounds on these, just so if I ever have to go back at a later date and want to check my torque, I don't have you know, the possibility of over torquing those bolts. Now if you're gonna sink your forks a little bit in your top tree, you definitely want to measure and make sure everything is the same height. So what I did was I measured from the top surface here to the top surface of the top clamp with a digital caliper, make sure these are even. Also what helps with that is, you know, you have your front wheel off, brakes off, slide your axle through. That's going to ensure that these are pretty much level. So tighten all this down. Once you have that done, next comes the part, you know, that everybody really dreads, which is the wiring. Now I used all factory wires for my switch housings and my throttle. The only thing that is not factory is the harness for the gauge relocation. Now, when you do purchase this gauge relocation bezel, there's an option to purchase the extended harness, which if you were going to mount to your risers, you will need that. In order to install that, you will depin the factory connector from the factory plug, and this new harness actually comes with a new plug that's already pinned. So you'll take the ends of the new harness and pin those to your old harness leads and heat shrink that, and that holds, it's a really solid connection. You don't have to worry about that coming out. So all factory with the exception of this one. To make everything nice and pretty, not see the factory crap, went ahead and did some 1/4 inch split loom, which perfect size. And as you can see down here, those side of connectors. I really didn't see much online about, you know, how they got those in there, so I went ahead and pulled the outer fairing off. In order to do so, you have some bolts inside of your speaker grills, so you'll pop these off, loosen those bolts. You have these 2 bolts here, which on the CVO chin spoiler, it's the same as the factory wind deflector. You take these 2 bolts out. You'll take this bolt out right here at your light. Loosen up your windshield screws, and then you have your 2 connectors for your turn signals. You'll want to disconnect those, and then you want to pop your vent off, which is just held down by 2 clips. Once you have that off, set that to the side, and to get in there to pull your wiring through the neck, go ahead and disconnect or loosen the 4 screws holding your factory headlight in, and that allows your factory headlight to hang. Don't worry, it's not going to hurt anything. With that, you're able to reach in there and actually grab the harness and pull the connectors down through the neck. Another thing to note is initially your hydraulic line is routed over the top of your tree. So when I was adjusting the height of my forks, you know, I went ahead and pulled everything out, cleaned everything down there while I was in there, and rerouted the brake line underneath the neck and onto that side of the top clamp, just for a cleaner look. You know, I have full turn radius, there's no pinching, no worries of anything like that. So just to give everybody a perspective of, you know, what I see when I'm riding. This is my view. Obviously I can't see the radio, but there's really not much up there that I'm worried about. The only thing is check sure and make sure my oil pressure is good every now and then, so I'll just peek over, make sure it's good, and then we're good. I'd rather see my gauges than this 1930s style looking radio that comes in a over $20,000 bike. But anyway, so yeah, again, 10-inch isolated straight risers, new solid billet aluminum top clamp, Relocation, 2.5-inch low bin thrashing bars. These are 1 inch, so you have the option of doing a 1 1/8 inch clamping area for the Kraus risers. That's both on the straight isolated risers or the kickbacks, so make sure you make the correct selection. They have the fly moto bars which are 1 1/8 inch, and you also have the OD bars, which are like 4-inch rise. Those are 1 1/8 inch. But since I wanted to reuse these bars, I chose the 1 inch option. Perfect fit. And so just to let everybody know, I am 6 feet tall, and this is perfect height for me. Where I'm sitting, my arms are a little bit less than straight out, which is nice. You know, I'd rather not be way up here or way down here, so this is perfect for me. Obviously I'll get some longer rides in over the course of the next few weeks and see, you know, how it does on a longer ride. I may want to go with the taller legs, which you can purchase separately. You don't need to purchase a whole new riser. You just unbolt here, put your new legs on, and bolt it back to the top clamp, or might go with the Raptor pullback plate, which I think is like 2 inches of additional rise, and it brings it a little bit further back to the rider. So that's always an option, but we'll see how this does and make the determination. But I think one thing that I forgot to mention was your factory ignition switch. Now, before I even executed this install, I went over to Harley and had the CVO BCM flash performed. I was quoted at half-hour labor, which here in Arizona that equates to about $70. Luckily, they didn't charge me, but I give the technician a tip. So yeah, once you do that, once you have that flash, you'll need your key fob in proximity of your bike, you need your accessory switch, and you can see hit start and you're ready to go. Now, if you remove your factory ignition, which, you know, if you're going to a new top clamp, I highly recommend you do. In my opinion, it doesn't look good if you keep it. You don't have a fork block here. Kraus does sell one that you can purchase at the time of the top clamp or at a later date, and it just mounts here. And you can see your detent here for your fork lock. You turn your forks to the left, boom, you can lock it. So it might be something that I purchase at a later date, but for now, I'm good. So I hope everybody found some value in this video, maybe answered some questions. If not, go ahead and feel free to leave one in the comments. I'll also link my Instagram in the description below. And with that, I'll go ahead and end the video. Everybody enjoy your 4th of July. Take care.